The moment Margaret Hollister walked into the Silver Dollar Saloon that autumn afternoon, the whole place shifted. I felt it like a change in air pressure before a storm. But I didn't know yet that this moment would define the rest of my life. I was nursing whiskey at my corner table when she appeared. A thin woman in a worn dress, holding her daughter's hand like it was the only solid thing left in the world. The saloon went quiet. That's how you know something matters. She didn't belong there. Everyone could see it. But there was something in the way she held her chin up that made you understand. She wasn't there for trouble. She was there because trouble had already found her. I'd only met Margaret Hollister once before, maybe 6 months back at the general store. Her husband David had died 2 years prior, thrown from a horse, lingered 3 days with pneumonia, then the ground took him. She'd been trying to keep the Broken Wheel Ranch running alone ever since. Most folks in Redemption Valley figured she was a ghost story by now, just waiting for the foreclosure notice. "I need work," Margaret said to Jake Williams behind the bar. Her voice was steady, but her hands were trembling. "Any work. I can wash, cook, clean. I'll work for food." Jake shifted his weight, uncomfortable. A respectable woman in a saloon asking for work was a scandal waiting to happen. "Margaret, I can't afford. I'll hire her." The words came out of my mouth before I'd thought them through. Every eye in that saloon turned toward me like I'd just announced I was running for governor. "My name is James Connor. I'm 53 years old, and I've got the kind of face that comes from living hard and losing harder. 5 years ago, I'd lost everything. My wife, my ranch, my pride. I came to Redemption Valley to disappear, and I'd been doing a damn good job of it until that moment." Margaret's face went tight. She was smart enough to understand what I was doing, and proud enough to hate it. "I don't need charity, Mr. Connor. Not charity," I said, standing up and walking toward her. "I need work done, real work. See, I've got a problem that's been eating at me for months." I stopped in front of the little girl, Emma, I learned later. She had her mother's eyes, which meant she could see through a lie from 100 paces. Stories like James and Margaret's remind us that it's never too late for a new beginning. If their sacrifice and love touched your heart, please like and share this video with someone who needs a breath of hope today. And I really want to know, which country are you watching our story from? Let me know in the comments below. "My hands," I said, holding them up. Both palms were scarred, calloused beyond recognition. "Been breaking horses for the Mercer outfit. Paid me $80 for 2 months of work, cash up front." This was true. What I didn't mention was that I'd been saving that money for over a year, watching it sit in a leather pouch under my bed while I slept in a boarding house room smaller than a coffin. But my clothes are torn to hell. No woman in this town will mend them because I've got a reputation for being difficult, demanding. I need someone mean enough to tell me when I'm wrong, someone who won't just nod and smile. Margaret studied me. I could see her calculating, trying to figure out if I was lying, and if so, by how much. "How much?" she asked. $70, I said, "for a month of mending and laundry work. I'll provide the materials. Fair?" It was insane money for that work, and she knew it. But she also knew her daughter was hungry. I could see that knowledge warring with her pride, like two dogs fighting in a pit. "I'll pay for supper," I added, turning to Jake. "All 3 of us, whatever Martha's got hot." Martha appeared from the kitchen almost immediately, like she'd been listening at the door. She nodded and disappeared back without a word. Margaret sat down slowly, like she was sitting on glass that might crack beneath her. So did Emma. The conversation that followed changed everything. Margaret told me about the ranch while we ate. The Broken Wheel had been her husband's dream, 160 acres of decent grazing land with a strong well and room to expand. David had spent 5 years building a small but solid herd, maybe 200 head of good stock. Then came the winter of '85. "You heard about it?" she asked me. I nodded. Everyone who lived through it remembered. "The big die-up," she said quietly. "They call it a natural disaster, like God sent it. But it wasn't God. It was the barbed wire." She paused, and I saw her choosing her words carefully. Before the wire, when blizzards came, the herds could drift south. They'd move toward the grass and the warmth. But the ranchers up north, the big ones with money, they started fencing everything in, claiming they owned the land and what moved on it. So when that winter came in '85, when the snow piled up higher than a man on horseback, the cattle couldn't escape. They just stood there, pressed against the fences, freezing solid. Thousands of them. Thousands. David lost 80 head. He said it was like watching a massacre, except the victims couldn't fight back. Emma reached for another biscuit, and I watched Margaret count silently. She was rationing how much the child could eat. "After the big die-up, everything changed," Margaret continued. "The ranchers who survived, the ones who could afford to buy the wire and the land, they won. The small operators like David, we just lost. David borrowed money to rebuild the herd. He thought he'd have time. He thought we'd bounce back. Then he got thrown from his horse," I said. "Then he got thrown from his horse," she repeated. "And Carl Brennan came to see me before David was even in the ground." My chest tightened. Carl Brennan wasn't just a banker. He was a vulture who dressed in suits and spoke like a gentleman while he picked flesh from bones. "What did he want?" I asked, though I already knew. "He wanted me to know about the note," she said. David had borrowed $2,000 to rebuild after the big die-up. Brennan gave him 2 years to pay it back. When David died, Brennan came out to the ranch and told me I had 2 years from that moment. He showed me the contract. There was a clause David probably didn't even read. If the property showed signs of distress, Brennan could call the entire debt due immediately. "That's legal," Margaret finished. I checked. It's in the contract. And I've got maybe 6 months left before Brennan decides the property looks distressed enough to take. Emma was eating like she hadn't seen food in weeks. Maybe she hadn't. "How much do you owe now?" I asked. "All of it," Margaret said. $2,000. I've sold off most of the herd already. Used the money just to keep up with taxes and supplies. Emma and I are. We're not doing well, Mr. Connor." That small gesture, Margaret counting biscuits while her daughter ate, told me everything I needed to know about her desperation. That's when I made my decision. I showed up at the Broken Wheel Ranch 3 days later with a horse and a plan that I hadn't entirely thought through. The ranch was worse than I expected. The main house still stood, but the fence lines were collapsing into themselves like old bones. The barn needed a new roof. You could see sky through the gaps in the wood. There were only about 30 head of cattle left, looking thin and desperate in the late summer heat. One of them was limping badly, favoring a front leg that was probably infected. Margaret was in the corral when I arrived, working an old mare with a broken gait. The horse didn't want gentling. It wanted rest and grass and time. Margaret was asking for something it couldn't give. She saw me and straightened up, defensive. "I brought the mending," I said, though I was actually carrying tools and rope. Also brought some supplies, and I brought a proposition. "Mr. Connor, call me James. I can't take more money from you." "Good," I said, "because I'm not offering money. I'm offering partnership. I've been thinking about what you told me, about the big die-up, about how the wire changed everything, about Carl Brennan holding that note like a knife over your head. You know what I think?" She didn't answer, just waited. Emma appeared from inside the house. "I think the broken wheel is worth saving. I think you're worth saving. And I think Carl Brennan is counting on you being too scared and too worn down to fight back. But here's what he doesn't know about you. You're not worn down. You're just alone. I can't fight a banker, James. I can't fight the system. No, I said, but we can, together. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. We worked through the fall like men possessed. I had some money saved, more than the $80 from the horse work. I'd inherited a small amount when my sister passed 3 years back, but I'd never talked about it because talking about it meant facing the life I'd been hiding from. Now, I used it. We bought cattle. Good stock, not fancy, but healthy. 16 head to start. We fixed the fence lines, working side by side until our hands bled and the blisters burst. I taught Margaret how to read cattle health, how to watch for disease, how to manage breeding cycles. She taught me how to work with the land in ways I'd never learned. Emma helped where she could, carrying water, gathering firewood. But it was October when Carl Brennan showed up. He didn't ride up like a normal man. He didn't call out or introduce himself proper. He just appeared on the property like a vulture circling, inspecting, calculating, seeing nothing but assets to be liquidated. He wasn't riding a working horse. His mount was expensive, groomed like it was going to a party. Brennan didn't wear the clothes of a working man. His suit was tailored, his boots were polished, and when he looked at the broken wheel, he didn't see a ranch. He saw numbers on a ledger. Mrs. Hollister, he said, stepping down from his horse with the confidence of a man who'd never been told no in his life. I came to discuss the note. Margaret had gone pale, but her voice was steady. The note is on schedule. Actually, it's not, Brennan said, pulling a piece of paper from his jacket. He didn't hand it to her. He just held it up like proof of the crime. There's a clause. Perhaps your husband didn't explain it to you. If the property shows signs of distress or inability to maintain the debt, I can call the full amount due immediately. 30 days notice. I stepped forward. The ranch isn't in distress. We're working it, improving it. And you are? Brennan asked, looking at me like I was something he'd found on his boot. James Connor. I'm a partner here. A partner without legal standing? Brennan said smoothly. The note is between the Hollister family and the bank. That's all that matters legally. He turned back to Margaret, and I saw the cruelty in his eyes. This wasn't business to him. This was entertainment. $2,000, 30 days, or I execute the mortgage and take possession of everything. The land, the improvements, the livestock, everything. He said it like he was offering her a gift. That's not legal, I said. But even as I said it, I knew it probably was. It's all in the contract her husband signed, Brennan said, and he actually smiled. There's a clause for early termination if the property shows signs of distress. And this property clearly is distressed. The fences were down when I rode up. The house roof is failing. The cattle are thin. I'd say that qualifies. He walked back to his horse, mounted up like he was climbing into a throne. 30 days, Mrs. Hollister, he said, not a day more. After that, this property belongs to the bank. After he left, Margaret sat on the porch and didn't cry. That bothered me more than if she had. Crying would have meant she still had hope. The silence meant she'd already surrendered. We can do this, I told her, though the numbers in my head were screaming that we couldn't. We have 30 days. We sell the cattle we've got, 30 head, plus the 16 we bought. That's enough to get maybe $800. That leaves $1,000, Margaret said. We don't have it, James. We don't have anything. I sat down beside her on that old wooden porch, and I took her hand. I do, I said quietly. I told her about my sister then, about the inheritance I'd been too broken to use. I told her I'd keep enough to survive on, but the rest, over $1,000, I'd used to back a loan. I told her I'd risked everything because I couldn't watch her and Emma disappear. "Why?" she asked, and her voice cracked like old leather. "Why would you do that? You barely know us." "Because I love you," I said. "Because when I look at you, I see someone I failed to save once before. Someone I lost because I wasn't strong enough. And I'm not losing you. Not if I can help it. Not if I can do something about it." She cried then, long, deep sobs that came from somewhere buried so deep I wasn't sure she knew it was there. We made the deadline. It was close, desperately close. We sold every head of cattle except 5 breeding stock that we'd need to rebuild. I took out a loan that would take me 10 years to pay back. Every dollar was borrowed against a future that wasn't guaranteed. On day 29, Margaret walked into Carl Brennan's office with a banker's draft for exactly $2,000. I watched from outside, through the window. I saw Brennan's face when he realized what had happened. He'd lost. His prey had escaped. We were married 2 weeks later in the small church in Redemption Valley. Half the town came. Jake and Martha from the saloon, the blacksmith, the doctor. People who'd watched Margaret struggle and who understood that sometimes a man's willingness to risk everything is the only currency that matters. The first winter together was brutal. We had almost no cattle, almost no money, and I was paying off debt that seemed to grow every month. But we had each other, and we had the land. Emma slowly learned what it felt like to eat regular meals and go to bed without worrying. That winter, when the blizzard came and nearly killed our last breeding mare, Margaret and I worked 20-hour days to keep her alive. Our hands bled, our faces froze, but we didn't give up. When that foal was finally born in spring, Emma danced around the barn like she'd been given a kingdom. The years that followed were about building something real. We worked harder than we'd worked on anything before. By year 3, we had 200 head again. By year 5, we were profitable. By year 10, the debt was gone, and we owned the broken wheel outright. I was 53 years old when Margaret couldn't pay for her meal. 10 years later, now in my early 60s, I'm a man still working this land, supervising, planning, handling what my aging back can manage. Our sons have taken over the heaviest labor. Emma, now a strong woman, runs sections of the ranch with the competence of someone who learned from the ground up. The real victory wasn't economic. It was watching Emma grow into a woman who knew the value of work. It was watching Margaret's shoulders relax, knowing she didn't have to carry everything alone. It was building a life together that none of us had dared to dream about when she walked into that saloon with nothing but pride and desperation. People ask me sometimes what I was thinking that day, why I stepped in when I could have just looked away. The truth is simple. I was tired of looking away. Life had broken me once, and I'd spent years hiding in that breaking. My wife had died years ago, and I'd never found the courage to try again. But sometimes, another person's struggle can pull you back together. Sometimes the act of saving someone else becomes the thing that. The Broken Wheel Ranch is still standing. It's a good place, a place built on struggle and sacrifice, and the kind of love that doesn't ask questions before it commits. A place where a woman's dignity was restored, where a child learned what security felt like, where a broken man found his way home. And sometimes, late at night, when Margaret sleeps beside me and the wind moves through the cottonwoods, I think about that man I was, the ghost, hiding in the corner of a saloon, and I'm grateful to Margaret Hollister for needing something I could finally give. Because in the end, she didn't just save the ranch, she saved me.